Hi everyone, today I want to share with you 4 things that I love about the BJU Press Distance Learning program. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Janelle Knutson. I'm a homeschooling mom to 7 children and this is my 14th year homeschooling. And this really is the first year that we have used BJU Press Distance Learning. I should say that last year, in the middle of the year, I did switch my son over to distance learning videos for heritage studies and science in the middle of the year, and that's kind of how we got familiar and realized that BJU Press Distance Learning might actually be a really good fit for our family. So this year I decided to do the distance learning program with all 4 of my school-age kids, and they're not doing every single subject, but the majority of their subjects are through the distance learning program. So I'm excited to share with you what I'm loving about it because I've surprised myself. I didn't think I would like video instruction and I really am. So let's jump in and share with you the 4 things that I love about BJU Press Distance Learning. The first thing that I am loving about the distance learning program is that my kids can work independently. Now, this is something that I might not have loved in years past because in the majority of my homeschooling journey, I have loved teaching my kids. I've loved having us all learn together as much as possible and me just being the main person that is teaching them all of the subjects. I've loved that. But in this season of homeschooling, having 4 kids that I am having to teach, having a 4-year-old, having a toddler, and having some health problems of my own, I just needed to take a little bit of a load off of myself and have my kids work as independently as possible. It really allows them to continue doing school each day, no matter how I'm feeling or what interruptions come with the younger siblings. They can just keep working independently and continue on with their homeschooling. And it gives me a little break as well, allows me time to invest in the younger ones, to invest in my health. And those times when I am teaching my kids and working with them and helping with them, helping them one-on-one, I feel like I'm more engaged and I'm more patient and I have a little bit more energy and it's just a little bit more enjoyable. So again, this is something that I love in this season of life. Having my kids be able to work independently is working really well for us, and that is one of the great benefits of the distance learning program, is just the independence that it provides for my children. The second thing that I love about the distance learning program, and really about all of the BJU Press materials, whether you use it through the distance learning program or just buy their materials, is that it comes from a Christian worldview. Everything, all of their subjects, they incorporate a Christian worldview. Your kids are going to learn math, they're going to learn history, they're going to learn science, they're going to look at literature from a Christian worldview. And this is really important to me because I think sometimes we separate our spiritual life from the rest of our life, and we say, okay, this is the time I'm studying the Bible, and this is the time that I'm learning academics. And we can't separate God from different compartments of our life. God is in control of every area of our life, and He is actually the one who created the wisdom and the knowledge that we are studying, that we are learning. He is the one that's in control of history. He created our universe and the way it is ordered when we're studying science. He created the logic of math. When my kids are studying literature, I want them to evaluate the author's viewpoint from a Christian worldview. I want them to be able to look at what the author is writing and say, well, how does this line up with my worldview? What does this say about this author's worldview? And how does that compare to what the Bible says? So I absolutely love that not only the distance learning program, but all BJU Press material comes from a biblical worldview, and that is integrated into all of their subjects and all of their curriculum. And to me, that is huge. I absolutely love that aspect of BJU Press. The third thing that I really love about the distance learning videos is that it's teaching my kids critical thinking skills. Now, when I read online on their website that their curriculum and the distance learning program was going to teach my kids to think critically, I was skeptical. I thought, really, how are you going to teach my kids critical thinking skills if you're not interacting with them? when I try to teach my kids critical thinking skills, we're having a dialogue back and forth. But I have found that BJU Press incorporates critical thinking skills into all their subjects, into their math, into their literature, their science, their history, and I absolutely love that. It really is getting my kids to think critically. One of the examples that comes to mind, I shared this in another video, but when my son was learning, I think it was in first grade science, when he was learning about dinosaurs, instead of just telling my son, hey, there was a dinosaur in the Bible and his name was Behemoth, they helped my son to discover that for himself. They taught him about dinosaurs, then they had him read a passage in the Bible that talks about Behemoth, and then they had a worksheet that had some questions for him to think through about, what do you think Behemoth is? Does he sound like an animal that you are familiar with today? And so he really was thinking critically to then determine for himself that Behemoth, mentioned in the Bible, was most likely a dinosaur. And so I loved that. When my 7th grader is doing literature, she is learning to think critically about the different passages and the different literary literature that she is reading. And so I love that. In science, they have a section for my 5th grader in the 5th grade science curriculum. They have a section at the beginning, I think, of each chapter or unit or something like that, where they not only have the kids try to think from a biblical worldview, but to think critically from a biblical worldview. I love that. I love that my kids are not just learning facts, but they are learning to think critically as well. And more importantly, to think critically from a biblical worldview. And number 4 is that the videos are engaging. They really do engage my kids. They bring interest. They bring the subjects to life. I love that the videos, the older editions and the newer ones that are coming out, all have, really a nice background. They have the set up really nicely so that it's interesting to our kids. It's not just a teacher standing in front of a whiteboard. They incorporate videos and pictures. There's, sometimes puppets and reenactments and all that kind of stuff. They do experiments there. So I just find that it's very engaging. And the instructors themselves, the teachers themselves, really know how to engage our students, even though our students are watching on video. I find my kids kind of talking to the teacher. They really are responding to the questions that the teacher is asking. They're doing what the teacher is asking because it's almost like that teacher, that instructor is right there in front of my kids. It just seems very real to them, like it's just happening, right on time, and they're engaging with the teacher. So there's a lot of engagement, a lot of interest. They really make learning fun. So those are 4 things that I love about the BJU Press Distance Learning program. And I will just recap really quickly again. I love that my kids can work independently. I love that they're getting a biblical worldview. I love that they are learning to think critically. And I love that the videos are engaging to my students. So if you have used the BJU Press Distance Learning videos, I would love to hear your thoughts. Are these things that you love about BJU Press Distance Learning or not? What did you like? What didn't you like? Leave those in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe so you'll be notified of new videos in the future, and I will see you guys again really soon. Bye-bye.